I thought I would do just a quick Mother's Day message here, rooted in our first parent, Eve. I think something to really consider, especially those of you that may not do not follow the Come Follow Me episodes and interpreter episodes that I do. One thing to consider about a temple experience is the roles that Adam and Eve are given in the Garden of Eden. It is something that is highly celebrated. Eve is given a certain role. And I think it's really important to understand in that temple experience that what you're looking at there in that temple experience is not Eve necessarily. It might be secondarily, but it's really, if you're a woman, it's you, right? That's you. And that's how a ritual drama works, right? You think about how before they put things into a PowerPoint or a movie type of a format, a live session of the temple, you would have a woman there who is playing Eve in the drama. And so and you can't all play Eve in the drama. That's chaos, right? That doesn't make any sense. So you have one person playing Eve, an actor who is playing Eve. And what that is meant to signify here is that you are Eve. It's not we're not looking at this history, of Adam and Eve, even though that's part of our doctrine. It is true, and it's part of our doctrine. But in the play, in the temple drama, it's about you. And so when you see Eve up there and what she's doing and what she's deciding, that is every woman who is going through that and doing all of those things. You are, and then you participate as an audience because not everybody can play Eve. And what we see in the temple drama is that Adam and Eve are in a certain, they're given certain statuses, if you will, as before they go through the fall. And these are ideal statuses, or these are eternal roles and statuses. And one of those, for Eve, for example, is that she is the mother of all living. And you consider this, in the drama itself, she doesn't have any kids yet, right? And yet she is the mother of all living. What is that? Well, that's a title. It's a title. It's an eternal title that is given to her as she is created in the image of our heavenly parents. She is a, it's a title that is tied together with the idea of exaltation, of being a queen, of being a high priestess in eternity, of agency, fulfillment, and being the mother of all living through perpetuity, right? It's the oath and covenant of the priesthood. And then, of course, they go through the fall, Adam and Eve go through the fall after this, as something happens. And what is that? Well, part of what happens is when they partake of the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, their image changes. Right? That's a very important part of, especially today with the way identity is working. Their image changes of themselves to some degree. They're ashamed. And that status, if you will, that heavenly, eternal type of status and titles aren't really the same to them. They've been changed to a certain degree through that fall. And I think that's what is happening today, very much so, is that the title, the exalted title of the mother of all living is distorted through different meanings of through the knowledge of good and evil, different philosophies, worldly ideas that come in and try to change the idea of motherhood. Motherhood is not just a matter of, bearing children, going through that sacrifice and nurturing them, but rather it is a title also of exaltation. And every woman, whether she has borne children yet or not, or will in this life or the next, is potentially the mother of all living. And I think the key for both men and women is understanding the high level of those roles and titles that were given to them. Now, another thing that Eve does is she has agency. She uses choice. She initiates the process of moving into mortality. Well, women represent those stages, as I see it, that we go through, right? So they obviously represent birth and mortality because they produce the children. And then they represent death because it's moving on to another stage. So you have the women at the cross with Jesus. And then the next stage is what? Is resurrection. And who are at the tomb? It's the women that are at the tomb. If you look anciently also, women, the mother of all living, they represent the throne. They are, when you mix together the mother and the son, like Mary and Jesus, women are that throne. You'll see a lot of Christian paintings where Christ, even though he's an adult, is small and on her lap as she's sitting, right? Because she is the throne. Another thing to look at in the temple is the veil. The veil is a representation of women, or women are a representation of the veil, what is right there at the throne of God, what is covering the throne of God. Right? Anciently, you would have the high priest that would have the high priestly garment, which was the same colors, the same four colors as the veil of the temple or the tabernacle. In non-canonical stories, Christian stories, you have Mary, the mother of Jesus, weaving the temple veil in the temple as a young woman. This is a representation of her as the mother of all living and the mother of Jesus. The temple garment that the high priest would wear is similar then to a body. It's a representation of an individual, of a body, of a high priestly body. Just like a garment might be a representation of the skin, from the skins of an animal, right, is from a body. So part of the temple experience, if we understand the context, again, as I understand this, is that the veil also is a representation of motherhood. Interestingly, when Jesus dies and is on the cross in Matthew, instead of having his side pierced with a spear, we're told that the temple veil rents. So that's the same thing, right? It's the body of Jesus given to him by Mary, which is pierced, or the temple veil, which is in that case the body of Christ, is pierced or rent. It's a very difficult time today with a pull away from who we are in terms of being created in the image of God. And unfortunately, the world wants to distort those titles that the Lord has given us and the fulfillment that we can experience by moving toward exaltation. I'm grateful for an amazing mother who brought me into this world. She nurtured me. She sacrificed. She loved me, which is effort, and watched over me and gave me guidance. She was dedicated to the gospel and tried to, as best she could, tried to guide me down that path. She ended up passing away several years ago while she was on a mission in Washington, D.C. She had a heart attack. And even then, she was, after her first few months of being in the visitor center as a senior missionary, she was like, I'm done with this. And she wanted to go out and be a proselytizing missionary with the younger sisters. Shortly after my parents' divorce, when I was 6 years old, my dad married another amazing woman who, though our situation wasn't always ideal, tried to make things ideal for us in our relationship between her and my father and my siblings that were born from her. And she sacrificed so much, and she was so loving. These are good things. My wife is an incredible mother and did an amazing job with our 4 kids. And I have all of the reverence in the world and the respect in the world for a woman that is willing to give that love and that sacrifice to watch over human beings and help them grow and to fulfill their potential, to guide them with the gospel. My wife was at home for almost the whole time that we brought up our 4 kids. And then she went out into the world, so to speak. And now she works full time and is sacrificing in another way. She sacrifices to help us produce Cwic Media. And she's very good at her job, and she helps support what we're doing here with Cwic Media. And having gone through what I did as a child with my mother and with my dad's second wife, and then with my wife for the last 33 years, I am, there's just so much respect that the world should be giving for these women and for that title. And the world seems to want to strip it down. So my quick message here is, you are Eve. And in that high title given to you from heavenly parents, in an exalted, foreordained title, you are the mother of all living. Happy Mother's Day.